The measure of the heart. There was once a woman named Elena who had a quiet habit. She carried an invisible list of everything that had hurt her. She didn't write it down. She didn't speak about it out loud. But it was there. She remembered the time no one defended her, the time she wasn't truly heard, the time someone spoke about her without knowing the full story, the time she gave more than she received. And without realizing it, she began measuring everything. If someone was kind to her, she responded with kindness. If someone was distant, she became distant too. If someone made a mistake, she marked it inside. She wasn't cruel. She was protecting herself. Because when you've been hurt, the heart learns to close so it won't feel the same pain again. One day, after a small but intense disagreement, Elena fell silent. It wasn't a dramatic fight, just a poorly chosen sentence, a misunderstood look. But she felt that familiar hardening rise inside her, and she realized something. She was tired of measuring, tired of calculating how much she gave and how much she received, tired of carrying quiet judgments. She sat alone and asked herself, what if living wasn't about constantly evaluating? What if I could choose another way? Because judging is easy. It's fast. It gives us a sense of control. But understanding is deeper and far more human. We rarely know the full story of someone else. We see an attitude, but not the fear behind it. We see a sharp response, but not the exhaustion underneath. We see a mistake, but not the inner struggle. And if we are honest, we too wish someone would look at us with more patience when we fall short. That afternoon, Elena did something small. She didn't call to argue. She didn't send a harsh message. She didn't explain why she was right. She breathed, and she decided she would not respond from her wound, not because what happened didn't matter, not because it was okay, but because she didn't want resentment to grow. We often think strength means defending ourselves with hardness. But there is another kind of strength, quiet, steady, powerful, the strength of refusing to let bitterness take control. Over the following days, Elena began practicing something new. When someone made a mistake, she asked herself first, what if I were in their place? When she felt the urge to label someone, she paused and thought, maybe there's something I'm not seeing. When someone didn't respond as she expected, she tried not to take it personally right away. And something surprising happened. Her life didn't magically change, people didn't become perfect. Problems didn't disappear, but her heart changed. It became lighter, because every time she stopped condemning someone internally, she dropped a weight. Every time she chose understanding over accusation, she expanded inside. Every time she forgave, even if it still hurt a little, she regained peace. And she understood a simple but powerful truth. The way we treat others shapes the way we live inside ourselves. If we constantly look for flaws, the world feels harsh. If we expect disappointment, we find it. If we live defensively, everything feels like a threat. But when we begin offering understanding, something shifts. Not outside first, inside. Elena began noticing things she had missed before. The co-worker who seemed cold was going through a painful separation. The friend who answered late was overwhelmed with responsibilities. The family member who seemed distant was afraid to express feelings. She realized how often we judge what is visible without knowing what is invisible. One evening, as she reviewed her day, as she used to, she noticed her invisible list had grown shorter, not because no one hurt her, but because she had chosen not to collect every hurt. That small but steady decision began transforming the way she walked through life. She no longer reacted automatically. She no longer needed to have the last word. She no longer felt that constant urgency to prove she was right. She discovered something important. Being right does not always bring peace. Sometimes choosing calm is braver than winning an argument. One day someone close to her made a bigger mistake. She felt the old impulse to close the door, to protect herself with coldness, to bring up the past. But instead, she said something simple. I need time to process this, but I don't want this to break us. She was firm. She was honest. But she was not cruel. And in that difference, everything changed. Understanding does not mean allowing everything. It means refusing to react from resentment. Elena began living with a new measure, a wider one, a more generous one, a more conscious one, not because people always deserved it, but because she deserved peace. Over time, she noticed something beautiful. When you change the measure you use, what you receive changes too. Conversations became more sincere. People felt safer opening up. Conflicts no longer escalated so quickly. It wasn't magic. It was choice. The choice not to feed every wound. The choice not to turn every mistake into a permanent sentence. The choice not to harden out of fear. And she realized that life expands when the heart expands. If you close yourself, everything becomes smaller. If you open yourself, even pain has space to transform. Maybe you too are carrying an invisible list. Maybe you are tired of measuring how much you give and how much you receive. Maybe you are exhausted from constantly protecting yourself. Today you can do something simple. Pause before reacting. Listen before responding. Ask before assuming. Forgive something small you've been holding on to. Not because the other person is perfect, but because your peace matters more than being right. In the end, the measure we use with others becomes the measure of our own inner life. If you measure with hardness, your world becomes rigid. If you measure with generosity, your world becomes spacious. And that is the quiet truth of this story. When you choose understanding over condemnation, you don't just change a relationship, you change the way you live. Elena did not stop feeling. She did not stop setting boundaries. She did not stop protecting her heart. She simply stopped hardening it. And in that small decision, she found something she had been searching for all along: peace. Thank you for staying until the end. If this story touched your heart, subscribe and help me grow and reach more hearts.